there's kind of two ways of dealing with color. Two ways. One is by, maybe there's more ways, I'm just going to deal with these two ways, but one is by feeling, and the other is by understanding. And also feeling, I'll say intuition. Intuition / feeling. Like what you're used to seeing. So let's say I'm doing a picture and I'm just using my feeling, and I put down a tree, and it's like, okay, well, and this is a wonderful tree, you know. Anyway, so it's a rocket house. So anyway, so we have that, and then you could say, let me just duplicate this, copy and paste it, so I can have one on both sides. So the feeling thing, and this changes based on trial and error, makes a difference. But let's say this is our image, and let me add something. Let me add mountains in the background, because why not? Mountains are always great. So let's say I'm going by feeling. It's like, okay, so the sky is going to be blue, and then I sort of feel like, well, what color is a nice blue? And I put it down, it's like, yeah, I don't really like that blue. And I go into different feelings, like, yeah, okay, that's a good blue. I like that blue. And you pick different colors for the tree, and let's say I pick a green, because I want green, and I look and say, that's green's okay, I could try a different color. And okay, so that's one way of doing it. You find the mountains, like, I'm gonna do a purple mountain, because purple, why not? So okay, you've got a drawing, and the colors are not so bad, right? It's okay. And it depends, you know, sometimes they're bad, and that sounds like you were having a trouble with that. But that's one way of going about it. Now the other way is the understanding thing. So in that, I'll switch over to my hard round. What I can do is I can put down, okay, what time of day is this? Well, let's say it's noontime. Okay, so the sky's going to be pretty blue. And I find the right blue, and then if this is the sky color, that means the atmosphere is going to be affected by this. So there's mountains, but the mountains are in the distance. So maybe the mountains are, the local color is something like that. But these are far away. So that means there is atmosphere in between the mountains and us. So that atmosphere is going to obscure them. So now the color is going to change. It's also going to get lighter near the horizon. So I'm understanding that, and it's almost like it doesn't matter about what do I feel, it's what I know. It's going to be darker near the top. Maybe it's going to get more saturated. Okay, there's a tree, and in this light, where's the light coming from? I don't know, let's make it up. Let's say the sun is here at this corner, so then this whole area is going to be lighter. And it's going to have a natural gradient. You're going to get highlights on the mountain. And this is a very different way of dealing with things compared to that feeling way. Now both are valid, and one is somewhat harder. The using your brain and using knowledge, that's more difficult. But it's also the better skill to have. But let's say my job is to be an anime artist. I can survive with this probably. You know, certain backgrounds, maybe not. But if I want to be a matte painter for movies, or I want to do concept art, or I want to do certain types of more painterly illustration, I'm going to have to know stuff. So then I have to pick that one. So you got to figure out the difference between that. And this understanding thing is actually more about science than anything else. So I'm going to go over this thing because it took me a while to understand it, because it was never explained well, but it's about properties in light. So for instance, why are sunsets red? Okay. Let's start with space, the final frontier. So we got space. Okay, now we have the sun. So here's the sun. Wait a minute, that's not the sun. The sun's yellow. Nope, it's not. The sun gives off white light. So here's the sun. Okay, so there's the sun, and this is space. And this is not going to be to scale at all. But I'm going to put the Earth down, and of course it's not a green ball. Just don't worry about it. Alright? It's just, okay, let's say this represents the Earth. How do we know it's the Earth? Because it's got a name tag on it. Hi, I'm Earth. Yeah. Hi, my name is ... Earth. Okay, so here, and this green ball is just the land, okay? As I said, don't worry about it. It's okay. It's not a big deal.
Terrible.
And now we have the atmosphere. All right. So this blue stuff is the atmosphere. So that's all our... And again, it's not to scale. Stop it. Just don't worry about it. So now we have the Earth and we have the atmosphere. And I'm gonna make... Let me get rid of the sun first, or cut him. X, V. Alright, so we have our sun. Now, why are sunsets red, right? So let's put ourselves on this Earth. And just make a stick man to represent us. But it's gonna be hard to see. So I'm gonna have to make him clear. What color should he be? He's purple. And this is us, right? No, this could be too big. Alright. So this is a stick man, and he's on Earth. Dude, what did this have to do with sunsets? Do you see him?
Yes.
Okay, good. So, you got this set up. Now let's say, and let me, wait, is this the guy? No, that's the sun. Let me add a bit more atmosphere above his head. There we go. Alright, so now let's say we got some atmosphere above our heads, and let's assume the atmosphere is the same all around. I'm just lazy, so. Alright, and let's say the sun is, let me label this sun. Let's say the sun is here, right? So the sun is going to shoot out some light. And what colors does it shoot? It shoots white light. And white light contains all the colors. So you've got, well, it doesn't contain brown, but, you know. It contains the rainbow colors. All the colors of the rainbow are in white light. So, okay, great, fabulous. But we've got atmosphere. And what the atmosphere has inside it, if we zoom in, so now here's a zoomed in view, is the atmosphere is made up of particles. It's got particles, all right, floating around. Whoa, whoa, particles, particles. So these particles are really spread out, right? But this is it, it's got particles. So now you also have to understand something about light. And I'm just going to deal with blue and red right now. I'm not going to get too fancy. But light has two properties. One is wavelength and one is amplitude. So blue light looks like this. And, you know, it's not exact. I'm just giving a layman's... I don't know everything perfectly, but I'll say from what I know. So the wavelength is the length... And see how you got, like, top parts? Like, these are the top parts and these are the bottom parts, right? So the wavelength is the distance between two top parts or two bottom parts. And then you also got the height. So this is the amplitude. All right, good? So blue looks like this. Now red, it's more like this. Okay, so the distance between one of these hills and one of these valleys, and I did a terrible job on this valley, so let's not even deal with that. But the difference between this compared to the blue is really wide, right? See, this is very narrow. This is very wide. But the height is not that high, right? Okay, so now, so that's red. It's got a very long wavelength. It's got a low amplitude. Blue is more, you know, whatever. So now we got that. Let's go back to our particles. So imagine you have blue light and you want to get from here, this side, to this side. You want to get from the left to the right. Let's make the two, let's make blue and red, they're trying to get to the other side. All right? So blue's going to go, woo, I'm blue, yeah. Making it, boom. Hit a particle. That absorbed that light. Oh, shoot. I couldn't, let me try again. Yeah. All right, woo, yeah, boom. Ah, I hit another particle.
Denied.
Let's go again. Yeah. Oh, no. Yeah. Now, eventually some blue is going to get through to the other end. But most of these blues, they didn't make it, right? Now let's look at red. Remember, red is more long. It's not so high. It's like, all right, let's go. Whoa. Yeah. I got through. Now, some red's going to be like, yo, pff, hit a particle, got absorbed. Sorry. That light might have got scattered a bit, or it might actually have gotten absorbed. But you have more chance for the red to get through this minefield of particles. So, now going back to our image, let's say the sun is here, and it's coming down. It has to get through this much atmosphere, right? That's how, and this atmosphere is filled with particles, right? But that's it. That's how much atmosphere. Well, if that's the atmosphere, you know, imagine you've got this situation with the particles, but the particles are spread out, right? So there's not that many of them. So maybe there's like that, because they're really far apart. So most things are okay. Blue's okay. Maybe it gets hit. Oh no, I didn't make it. But then some of it, yeah, it does make it. Success, right? Success. So you got a good chance that a lot of color is going to get through. Like blue's going to get through, red's going to get through. We're all getting through. But now let's say the sun. Here we go. Oh, fabulous. Fabulous, sun. You brought everything with you. Oh no, got a hole in it. Let's say the sun is here. So that's more like sunset, right? So remember we had our guy, and he's standing there, that purple person? And the light, the white light is coming this way, right? Now look at how much atmosphere it has to get to before it reaches you. Look at all that. So much atmosphere. So much freaking look. That's how much atmosphere? Are you kidding me? Whereas before I just have to get through that much, which we turn it on its head and it's like that much. So blue has a chance here. Like, yeah, I made it through. But the chances of blue making it through this much before it hits a particle is much more slim. It's gonna get like, boom, didn't make it, didn't make it, didn't make it, didn't make it.
Denied.
But red has a chance, right? red is like, yo, man, even though there's lots of particles, I still can make it.
Oh, snap.
I lost some brothers in the war. Oh, I didn't get through, but I shall prevail. And a lot of red gets through. So, in this case, you see red near the horizon. Because red is the only color that can sort of make it through. You also get your yellows and oranges, right? But your blues, no, it doesn't make it through. Sorry, dog, didn't get through. Better look next time. But if you still have light coming from other areas, right, and they only have to get through maybe this much atmosphere, there's still a chance, right? So higher up in the sky, so this is like the sky we're seeing, right? Higher up in the sky, you do get the blues. So that's what happens. So this whole thing is basically to tell you why you have a sunset, and it's coming from an understanding point of view. It's not coming from I feel it out, right? So that's a big difference between feeling it and understanding it.
Everything has a common sense to it. Everything's sort of interconnected. It's like, oh, okay, so there's atmosphere between me and what's over there at the distance, and then it's like, oh, okay, because there's particles taking up light and absorbing things like that. That's how you tell the difference between somebody who doesn't really know much and it's an amateur and somebody who's professional, because they have the skills and they have the knowledge to make a painting and it can look really good, or it can look really realistic, or they can use the knowledge that they have and just completely break all the rules, but it still looks fine because they know the knowledge of reality. They know the rules. That's very important. About this, I'm sorry if I get your name wrong. Why Nahi? You're saying that you gave up today. It's easy to get discouraged, and so it will take 10 years for me to start getting paid. That's not true. If you study hard for 2-3 years, you will reach professional level, and then you can start getting jobs. Mastery is a really high level. It's not just it's not gonna take you 10 years to get paid. That's what I'm trying to say. 10 years is just when you reach a very high level and you know all the tools that you're using and you have a lot of knowledge to back it up. So don't get discouraged. The thing that's I think everybody needs to understand is the things that you're learning, especially in art, nothing is really easy. It's going to be hard. The overall journey is going to be long, and it can be very difficult. If you're having fun, it's not going to be much of a problem. But what you need to learn, and you're going to struggle through sometimes. It's not going to be easy all the time. But what you need to know is that if you just take things one step at a time, it won't be that hard. It's the same thing as if you're trying to juggle 10 balls at once. It's going to be difficult. But if you just take one up at a time, it will be easy. It's like, okay, I can handle 1 ball, I can handle 2 balls, I can handle 5 balls now. And then eventually you get to 10. And that's what it is. If you just look at the entire journey of becoming an artist, reaching master level, becoming a creator, it will be hard. But if you just take one step at a time, it'll be fine. And that's how this thing always starts. You take one step at a time, and you keep walking, and eventually you get there. So don't get discouraged.
Yeah, so it's like a huge mountain, and you don't want to start here and then just look at the peak and be like, oh, it's going to take forever. It's like, no, you just walk, and then before you know it, you're there. So, yeah. And sometimes it doesn't, you're not that far, because once you start improving, you might feel like, well, I'm so far away from where I need to be. And I've been here a lot, where it's like, yeah, I'm never going to get there. Maybe in 2 years I'm going to get there. And then a week later I learned something, some trick about atmosphere or edges or something. Oh. And then I apply it and it's like, wow, my work looks like so much better. So you never know. It might be a year away or it might be a week away. The point is just keep doing it and don't worry about getting there. The hardest thing is probably it's not hard. It depends on your situation. So if you're in a tough situation, then yeah, it's really hard because maybe you need to have a full-time job and art is your passion. And if you want to be professional, it's going to be harder for you because you have less time to spend doing art. Doesn't mean you can't do it. Just means it's going to take more time. You have to be prepared for that, right? But if you have all the time in the world, still it can be hard if you don't have motivation. So then that's your cross to bear, right? Everyone has their burdens. I've talked about it in a previous video. It was like a biography one I did on myself, to become an artist or something like that. Anyway, and I mentioned how I didn't like art, and that's been my hardest thing, is that how do you succeed in a field where you're not that passionate in it? And a lot of it is understanding that it's not that I'm not really, like, yeah, I'm not that passionate in art as I am in other things, but it's that I'm also depressed. I mean, I suffer from depression somewhat, so it's like that can be hard to deal with. It's hard to not be motivated and to have like terrible feelings, but you know, again, it's a matter of, well, okay, I don't have passion and I don't have this other stuff, but let's just try working at it and not stopping. And hey, guess what? It works. So sometimes people are like, oh, you need this or you need that, and it's like, no, as long as you put in the work, eventually you'll get there. And what I learned is that once I got better, I also got more passion. So
it's this thing of where it's like once when you hit the level where it's like, oh, I can do this now, then it starts becoming fun because you can actually do it, and then it's not becoming a constant struggle anymore.
Yeah,
and that's always a good feeling.
And if you're lucky and it's fun for you, great, you know, that's good. That's really good.
Yeah.
There's no reason to feel like, but I have passion. Will I not be good? Because nothing anyone says should stop you, you know? If I told everyone here who aspired to be an artist, and I told you all, you're not going to be an artist. There's no jobs. There's no nothing. There's no, you suck and you'll never be good. It's going to be so much work and you don't have what it takes. Like, screw what I say. Do it anyway, right? Other people shouldn't stop you, whether it's me or your parents or a teacher who told you you'll never make it in art. Because guess what? When I was in animation school, there was a teacher who was talking about concept art. And someone said, hey, wait, I want to be a concept artist. And this teacher said, well, you can't be because all concept art is 3D. And I was like, no, it's not. This guy didn't know what he was talking about, but he's a teacher. So the student was like, okay, I guess, all right. It's like, no, do some research. You don't rely on what people tell you, right? So same thing. If you want to know what program I'm using, I get that asked this all the time. What program are you using? Open the description. Maybe it says it in the description. You know? Everyone has their own story. Everyone has their own path that they're going to have to travel, and it's very different. But they all include working hard. I mean, you're going to be hard-pressed to find someone who's successful and they didn't put in a ton of work. Who is Jeff? Jeff is Zhen Fu Li. Zhen.
Yeah.
Zhen
and
Fu Li or Jeff Li. Are you supposed to know him? I don't know. Are you supposed to know anybody? But yeah, maybe I'll show how I do accents. So the way I do accents is, and this is probably wrong, but it works for me to a point, is I try and figure out different ways of activating certain muscles of my mouth. For instance, let's say I'm doing a British accent. What I'm going to do is I'm going to tighten the muscles in my mouth. So I'm going to make them very tight, and I'm activating certain muscles, but it's a very tense feeling. And all I'm doing is making those muscles tense, and automatically this happens. This accent happens. Now, let's say I'm going to relax it. So I'm going to keep talking, and I'm just going to relax it. So, blah, 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 blah. All right. Now, my voice is very relaxed. So you see what happens is naturally by relaxing certain parts of your mouth or using certain parts, your accent changes. So let's say I lift I make it tight. All right, now I'm tight, but now I'm going to be more high. So I'm raising the height of the muscles. All right, now my voice is like this. Yeah, all right, it's different, and it's like this. You of course have to understand some mannerisms as well. It helps. So for instance, when I do my Indian accent, I use bad grammar, but I don't need to. All right, so for instance, I could talking like this, where maybe I say talking instead of I could talk like this, but I could also stay my mouth. Okay, I don't know exactly. Okay, so my throat feels somewhat tense and my tongue is very tense and like this. So then I speak with this mouth position. Naturally, it speaks like this. But let's say I'm just reading and I don't need to make grammar error. All right, I don't need to make any grammar error, and then I sound more educated, but also my accent remains the same, right? And then you could get more like this, and it's just a matter of picking different muscle positions. And I don't know, see, from Irish, it's more high up, and I went low, and I relaxed myself, but I really roll my tongue on the top of my mouth, and then this happens more. All right, so now we're more into Scottish, but anyway, I still need to practice because I don't do accents much, so. Before I couldn't do Russian, but then I heard my friends talking, and they're from Romania, most of them. Some are from, where are they from? Bulgaria, right? So Ukraine and them, they talk more something like this. So I don't know exactly, what the accent is, but I learned something like, okay, my mouth sort of feels like this. I heard someone say, okay, you want to speak Russian, you just add Y, the letter Y, you add that everywhere. So if you want to say animal, you'll say animal, and caricature, caricature, and it sounds like that. A good way in the beginning is, it's not a way I went through, but you can just find an artist you like and copy their drawings and get better at just copying. That's one way of doing it. I've seen people have success in that way. I've also seen people become just a poor imitation. They don't learn perspective and they don't learn that, but there are videos online that cover a lot of things, and Sycra teaches some of them. I don't know if you heard of them.
The thing that you should be aware of with copying is that and I think this goes back to the whole there's a lot of hullabaloo about tracing and stuff like that. And if you're going to copy another artist, or if you're going to trace another artist, don't do it for the purpose of you're going to use that to make a work and then put it out there and say I did this. No, when you trace or you copy another person, you're learning the language. So you can't just mindlessly do it. You have to analyze it, see why they did this and see why they did that. Oh, they interpreted the muscle this way and it's flexed this way. Learn why. And if you start thinking that way, the whole common sense thing starts coming back. And it's like, why did he interpret the muscle this way? You look up the real muscle and it's like, oh, it's because of that.
Yeah, the more you can cross-pollinate things, the better.
Yeah. Just remember this, always look at it scientifically if you can. That's how you start really learning things. Just look at it scientifically, analyze it, figure out why it's working that way or why it's working that way, and then you'll be learning and not just copying, and then it won't become a crutch.
All right. I think that's it. And again, if you don't know how to see this, I update it on Twitter, on Facebook, and if you're subscribed, you should get it in your YouTube inbox. So Thanks again, Jeff, for taking questions and for helping out here. And thanks to everyone for watching. And have a great night. And yeah.
Bye bye.